Hi there, friends. Welcome to Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe on this Wednesday evening, September 21st. I have some fun cards for you to make, mixing and matching embossing folders. So I'm super excited to show you these examples and to demonstrate them with you and give you more ways, more ideas to use your embossing folders. And you'll also pick up some good, very versatile and very easy card layouts with tonight's demonstration. Before we get to that though, I want to say if you missed Monday's Facebook Live, it was all about using the apple blossoms dies, and in particular, the flower blossoms and the leaves. So here we made a beautiful card with the apple blossoms dies, but not doing apples at all. And it's a great card, it's beautiful, and of course you can personalize it with all of the different colors. And Teresa Crote is the one who won that card on after Monday's Facebook Live, so I'll be sending that out to her tomorrow. A quick reminder that registration for my T-Boutique class to go is going on right now, and there's option 1 that includes the bundle, the cup of tea bundle. Both option 1 and 2, you will get the T-Boutique Designer Series paper and the T-Boutique cards and envelopes. And if you purchase option 1 by tonight, by midnight, you will get a free package of the in color matte dots. I don't have a full package, but I can show you this, what I do have to remind you. But the deadline for that early bird registration is tonight, September 21st, to get that free package of embellishments. However, registration will stay open until next Tuesday evening, so that would be the 27th, okay? So it's, the class seems to be quite popular, and I'm excited about that. The cards are bright and cheery, so you can take a look at that and find more information about it at my blog, stampinpeace.com. And right now I'm going to flip my camera around so we can get started with tonight's demonstration. Please share this live video while I'm doing that and invite others to join us for the creative demonstration. Okay, tonight I'll be making 3 cards with you, and I will give away all 3 of the cards. The first one uses the embossing folder Leaf Fall and the Sentiment from Soft Seedling stamp set. Super fun fall, an easy stamp set too for fall. So, trying to decide, should I show you the card first? No, I think I'm going to let it be a surprise. Now, oftentimes when we're using our embossing folders, we're always thinking about putting embossing folders or embossed cardstock as the background of our cards. But tonight I'm going to show you that you can actually use your embossing folders to emboss cardstock and make that cardstock or whatever paper you're using be the focal point of your card. So for this one, and I will just say that all of the embossing folders I'm using tonight are 3D embossing folders. 3D embossing folders are a little thicker than the regular ones, And they also emboss and deboss at the same time, meaning they're making an imprint and pushing the paper up from the bottom. So they are a little bit thicker. Now on this one, the design does not cover the whole area of the embossing folder, but just a portion of it. And I chose 3 pieces of cardstock that I think look great for fall: Cajun Craze, Crush Curry, and Mossy Meadow. And I'm going to lay these side by side. I want them touching. I want them touching so that the design of the embossing folder carries over to all 3 pieces. We've done this a few times, this technique with stamping, where we stamp something and then we pull the pieces apart and space them out. It's the same idea here. I'm using 1 embossing folder with 3 strips. Each of these strips measures 1.5 by 3.5 inches. Okay, 1.5 by 3.5 inches. Now I'm going to suggest, just like I do when we cut apart designer series paper or stamp and pull the pieces apart, that you keep your strips arranged in a way that the design carries right across. I'm going to adhere these to my soft suede cardstock. This measures 3 3/4 by 5 inches. 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So to keep these in order, I'm just going to flip one over at a time, so I don't mix up the direction that they need to go or the sides that need to match up. And when I have 3 strips like this, I tend to do the left, the right, and then the middle, because if I have the left and right placed evenly on the corners and sides, it's real simple for me just to center the middle piece in there. I'm going to put this on a piece of crumb cake cardstock, but before I do that, I want to add some ribbon. And I'm just going to go across the front here. So I lay it across the front. All of our cards are using a different ribbon tonight. So just lay it across and tuck the ends behind right where I have that adhesive. Okay, make sure it's straight, adjust it if you need to. And then I'm ready to put this on my card front. Now I have, where'd they go? Right here. I have already die cut my banner piece just for the sake of time, so I don't have to be switching so many plates in and out of the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I will tell you really quickly, when you're using 3D embossing folders, standard embossing folders, or dies, just follow the directions right here on the platform that comes with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So for the 3D embossing folders that I'm using tonight, I just need plate 1, which is this, and plate 4. Now for the die cutting, I would use 1, 2, a 3, and a 3. So I just took the time to do the die cutting earlier, just to make things a bit easier. That's a tip you might use if you're doing a lot of embossing and then a lot of die cutting. Do one or the other for all of your cards, and then the other, and put your cards together. So I stamped Thinking of You in Early Espresso. And as I said, this is a great fall stamp set. If you want to do something for Thanksgiving, maybe add So Grateful. All right. But I love that it has other sentiments that we can use for other reasons throughout the season of fall. It seems like every time I get to a Facebook Live, I'm like on the edges of my dimensionals. I saw something online today that asked, what is the one craft supply you'll never run out of? And my answer would be dimensionals. I always have dimensionals. It seems like with my ordering, you know, maybe I have a couple dollars left in Stampin' Rewards. So I'll throw on a package of dimensionals. 104430. It's the only item number that I know by heart. Oops. Can you see what I did wrong here? I've got my dimensionals right in the center. So they're just laying basically on that ribbon, and it's kind of bouncing around. So I don't really want to do that. I should have placed them, or at least some, at the top and bottom edges. That way it grabs the cardstock, not just the ribbon. So there you go. And there you go. A teachable moment from my little mistake there. That's better. And now it's not bouncing around and lifting up. Now, I thought it needed just a little bit more. So I'm pulling in some of the amber faceted gems. And this is part of the leaf label and amber gem combo pack. You get all these little labels. These would be cute to make napkin rings or placeholders for your Thanksgiving table or your friendsgiving. You can also attach them to gift bags or any little kind of gift. You could make a banner with those. But I am absolutely in love with these amber gems. Remember also that when we are working with embellishments, we are typically working in odd numbers. I won't say always, because there's the rare occasion, but typically we're working in odd numbers. So there's my first card, letting the embossing folder be the focal point of the card. So what do you think there? So I didn't use just one piece of cardstock. I didn't use just one color of cardstock. By adding the 3 colors and the strips, but really, even with that, it still allows the embossing to be the focal point of the card. All right, so that's card 1. Let me get these out of the way, and we'll move over to card number 2 and 3. Now for these, I'm using the Merry Melody embossing folder, so it's all music notes. And by the way, I obviously haven't used this for a while. I think I showed this last year, embossing on different types of paper. So we've got cardstock, we've got gold foil, and we've got vellum. So just an idea for that, since I had those tucked in there. And then I'm also using Wintry 3D embossing folders. And this is a package of 2. the snowflakes and the evergreen branches or evergreen needles. So this time for this card, I'm going to be using, oops, is there another one? Yep. I'm going to be using 2 embossing folders this time. And again, our embossed cardstock is what is going to be the focal point of our card. So for this card, I have a piece of 1 3/4 by 5 1/4 inch silver specialty paper. Do you remember that one from the annual catalog? And it, you know, it says silver, but to me, they have sort of a purple hue. So this is a little bit outside my box. This is going to be a Christmas card, but I'm pretty much a traditionalist when it comes to Christmas, you know, red and green, gold and silver, that sort of thing. So to use this color for a Christmas card really is stepping outside of my box a little. But I guess that's okay. Sometimes we need to do that because that makes us more creative and it helps us learn. Here I'm using the Snowflake embossing folder and embossing 2 strips of white cardstock. And these white strips measure 1 inch by 5 1/4 inches. I'm going to use this basic white thick cardstock. I like using the thick basic white and the thick vanilla when I want these colors for my card bases. You know, Kathy, I'm just catching up to comments here a little bit. The last comment I'm seeing is from Kathy Walton. So many times when you use embossing folders as background, it gets lost and you can't see the whole folder. That is a very good point. Oftentimes, I like to use embossing folders more for simple cards because I think you're right. A lot of times we can put so much on them that it gets lost. The embossing gets lost. So these are ways you can use your embossing folders and highlight them. Put the spotlight on the embossing folder, so to speak. Again, I place my left and right strips first. And then this middle one, I can just center between those 2. So again, all of the strips are 5 1/4 inches high. Left and right strips are 1 inch wide, and the one in the middle is, let me double check that. I said 1 3/4, but let me check that. Yes, it is. And now, I have to look at my sample. I'm going to use this metallic mesh ribbon, which I love. This came out last year with our Halloween collection, and they've carried it over to our new annual catalog, and I'm so happy they did because I've used it way more on Christmas and holidays than I do Halloween. Plus, it's pretty versatile. You can use it for lots of different reasons, different occasions, I should say. But it's thin, it's easy to work with. So I'm just checking on the back. It looks pretty straight. And with this, you can spread out the trim a little bit, or you can kind of scrunch it up, whatever you want to do. I kind of let it do its own thing for the most part. And I will trim these down, these ends. That's a little much for me. Now recall that I said this color is really stepping outside of my box for a Christmas card. Kathy, what can you use until your number 4 plate comes? You know, you're just going to have to try different things. Maybe use a piece of cardboard. But you're going to have to try. Again, cardboard too comes in all different thicknesses. So you're just going to have to play around with it and see what works. Okay. So I have, where's my little white piece? Here we go. So I'm stamping with this, get this, me, the traditionalist, you know, red and green, gold and silver, Christmas. Mary is stamping with Highland Heather. Okay, Highland Heather. Are you a traditionalist, or do you like something outside of the box, something kind of more modern, contemporary? Or are you a traditionalist like me? Pat, I do believe that plate number 4 comes with the machine. However, Kathy might have a different machine or an older machine, something like that. But it does, if anybody purchases a new cut and emboss machine, it does come with plates 1, 2, 3, a 3, and a 4. Okay, just so you know. But some people have an older machine or different type of machine, and they're trying to get by with that a little longer. Yep, Kathy has an old machine. Yep. So that's the reason why. And I like that we have options, so people don't have to replace their machine. We have a great machine. I love it. I can't say enough good things about it. But I would never tell somebody, get rid of your old machine if it's working for you. There's no need. Okay. Oh, Teresa, you're one that's both. Likes the traditional, but also sometimes likes to step outside the box. Awesome. Okay, for those of you like me who are traditionalists, what do you think? I really think this is okay. I really am liking it. But again, you see, I've made the embossing the focal point of this card. And this time I used 2 different embossing folders instead of the one like in the first card. Okay, so that's card number 2. And for card number 3, we're actually going to use 3 embossing folders. We're going to use the music one again. What is that called? Merry Melody. And we're going to use both of the wintry embossing folders. Now for this card, I'm using 3 strips, all the same size, and I'm doing another, I'm basically doing another white card with a pop of color, right? You can say this is a white on white with a pop of color, right? And that's kind of what I'm doing with this one. Now for these, oh, who remembers the most important part? Who remembers the most important part about using, the most important rule, I should say, of using embossing folders? Anybody? It's an absolute must. Every time you're embossing, using embossing folders. Anybody? Closed end first. Yes, Kathy, closed in first. Okay, somebody said at the, okay, Kathy, that is true. with dies, if you got a straight line die, you do want to turn it at an angle a little bit to send it through the rollers so it doesn't jump. But yes, very good. But for embossing folders, you always want to make sure that the closed end, the fold of the embossing folder goes in first. Now here I'm going to tell you, these two don't fit side by side. You must do them one at a time. Don't think it's okay to overlap them. It's not. That changes the whole thickness of the sandwich. It won't work. And lastly, I'll do this evergreen. Alrighty. Again, I'm using basic white thick cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and it's scored at 5 1/2. Now, you can decide what order you want these in. It really doesn't matter. In fact, I'm like, can't even remember. Oh yeah, I was trying to remember what order I used before, but like I said, it doesn't matter at all. Just play around with them, try them in different places and see what you like best. I'm going to put this one off to the left side instead of using it in the middle as I did on the last card. And let's see. I think I like the evergreen branches in the middle. So I'm going to place the snowflakes on the right side. When I post this to my blog, stampinpeace.com, I will have all of the measurements for all 3 of the cards. And as you can see, these are very, very, very easy layouts. Oh, here it is. So for this one, I'm going to stamp with Soft Succulent, going back to a little more traditional color. And I'm stamping Peace on Earth, Goodwill to All. Again, I just went ahead and did the die cutting earlier, just so I wouldn't have to be messing with a whole bunch of plates and everything. I value your time. So just thought it would be easier this way. Now I'm going to take this ribbon all the way around, and I'm not going to tie it in a bow or a knot here. This ribbon can be a little bulkier. It's a little thicker in depth, and I don't want to create too much bulk. But I do want to hide my ends. So I'm going to hide them right where I'm going to put my sentiment, that die cut circle. And when you're doing this and going around through the inside of the card, always make sure it's laying flat. There's nothing so bad as you finish the card and you open it and it's flipped over on the back. Doesn't look as nice, right? I need a little more adhesive for this. And I'm just going to cut off a little bit of that M to a limit end so to eliminate a little bit of bulk. It's not bad. All right, and now I'm ready to place my sentiments. I hope you all use up the sides of your Stampin' Dimensionals. Do you do that? You cut all the way along? You want to use those up. Don't waste them, right? We got to save money where we can so we can buy the stamps for our hobby. And I'll just center this in the card. And like I said, I didn't use that piece to tie a bow or a knot, but I am just going to tie a simple knot with another piece of this soft succulent ribbon. And I'm going to pull it real, real tight to eliminate as much bulk as I can. In a moment, I'll talk to you about a couple ways a couple tricks I use when I'm mailing something that has a little bit of bulk or a little bulge or a little bump from either a knot or a bow or even embellishment. So I'll give you my secret tips, and I will be 100% honest and say, using these tips, I have never, ever had a card come back to me. Okay. So before I bring back the other two cards, I will give you those tips. So let's say we have an envelope. If I just have a little bump in one spot, I'll just take a little scrap of cardstock and I merely just put it over that spot. Make sure it's in place when I tuck the card all the way in. And that way it kind of smooths it out more so it goes through the post office machines better, okay? Didn't have it all the way down there. There, okay? Another thing I've done, which I don't do as often, I usually do the cardstock trick. Another thing I do, or have done, but to me it just doesn't look as nice on the envelope, is just go over this with a piece of package tape, like the wide packing tape, clear, you know. That's another idea, but it really doesn't look as nice on the envelope to me, I'll just say. So I typically do the cardstock trick. Now, if I have something like this, I will use a larger piece of cardstock. You know, I'll cut it down a little bit so that it covers all of those embellishments, okay? When you have things like this on dimensionals, that seems to go through the machine fine, but something like this can catch, they say. Honestly, this is what I do most often. And you know what? I know some people will say, well, Mary, that's wasting cardstock. But it's cheaper for me to add this little bit of cardstock than it is to have a card come back to me or not be delivered in good condition. Okay? Somebody I know, it is, let me think, Lori Hall, I believe. She cuts apart when she gets, like, she buys a lot of my classes to go, and I send those in padded envelopes, and she will cut apart her used padded envelopes and just put a little bit of that in there. So that's a way to recycle or reuse something you might already have, okay? So those are some ways, and like I said, I'm being 100% honest when I say I have never, ever had a card come back to me because of a bow or Is that you? Yes, Lori says it is her. Because of a bow or embellishments or whatever. Now, I will say occasionally somebody does send me, most people put something in the envelope on top of their card. I will say there is somebody who sends me cards and she never puts anything through or on top. But and her cards do go through the mail to me. However, they tend to poke through the envelope. Okay. Oh, Tony, that's a good idea. I have some cards too that I just designed on Canva and I had printed out. They just came 2 days ago, I think, or yesterday, that I'm using to put in some customer thank you notes. And that way they're getting a card to use, but it gives them a message, but also protects the card and lets it go through our postal system easily. All right, what do you think, everybody? So this demonstration was all about using our embossing folders for the focal points of our cards, not hiding all the embossed paper or the embossed cardstock. So I hope you will give these things a try. As you can see on all of these cards, the embossing is the focal point, but we threw in some variations. Here we used 3 different strips of cardstock, 3 different colors in one embossing folder. Here we used 2 embossing folders and cut 3 strips. And here we used 3 different embossing folders, all with the same size strip, 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. Okay. And then a simple sentiment, maybe a tad bit of embellishing, and boom, you've got some great easy cards. And also, these layouts work fabulously with designer series papers, with a variety of colors. You can mix and match. The possibilities are endless with all 3 of these layouts. And of course, you might have some of your own favorite embossing folders. Does anybody have a favorite? Mine was the subtle embossing folder, which I think retired 2 years ago. I used that a whole lot. And then, oh, what was the other one? Textile, maybe? And they retired that with this catalog. So I've just been playing around with different ones. I can't say I had a favorite until I got this fall leaf embossing folder. And for right now, that is my favorite. That is my very favorite. Yes, do you miss the subtle too? I know. But, oh, gingham. You know, I just got the gingham embossing folder and I haven't used it a whole lot. In fact, I don't think I've used it at all yet. I think I need to put that on my list and incorporate that into a Facebook Live. Painted texture is another great one. Yes. Okay, if you would like to perhaps receive one of these cards made during tonight's Facebook Live, please type in the comments now, embossing folders. Embossing folders. Gian, you need the leaf folder. I know, I didn't think I needed it, and then I got to looking at it again and again, and you know, if I look at it so many times, then I think, okay, I need to go for it. Oh, I forgot about the diamond one, yes. So many of you on here tonight. This just makes me happy, fills my heart, so thank you. Okay, I've been downstairs here in the Stampin' Piece studio since probably 8:30 this morning with a short break to grab some lunch upstairs. And so I'm headed back up now. So I'm going to have something to eat. I'm going to turn on TV and watch Big Brother. It's the finale. I don't watch very many shows, but For some reason, that one I enjoy. And also The Voice. Does anybody like The Voice? That they just started up a new season on Monday. And oh, I love that show. Just seeing the raw talent of people and hearing their stories. I love watching The Voice. That's my all-time favorite show, I'll say. All right, everybody. Oh, Survivor, you like so? Oh, there's Sandy Shake. How are you? Yes, I guess it is premiere week, right? Or premiere month. I don't know how they say it. Tony, you watch The Voice too? Okay, we'll have to get together. Michelle does as well. Carol does. I know, we'll have to get together and maybe as it goes on, talk about our favorite singers. All right, everybody, good night. Thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with me. I appreciate you so much. And if you like what you see here, please share this Facebook page, Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe, with others who you think will enjoy it as well. Good night, everybody.